Hello again, all of you. Because it gives women a significant advantage and because its effect is stronger, more subtle, and less active than you would believe it is, I want to talk about the power that women's sexuality possesses today. In point of fact, I want to talk about the power that lies dormant in female sexuality. If you aren't aware of the very passive nature that is involved in the application of female matriarchal power, then it will slip right past you like you won't recognize what is going on, and the women will just be able to get away with it nonstop. If you are aware of the very passive nature that is involved in the application of female matriarchal power, then you won't let it happen. Due to the fact that this is currently taking place, it is a very relevant subject. The untapped potential that lies within female sexuality is a topic that requires immediate discussion because of its significance. If younger men are honest, they will admit that they are a sucker for a beautiful, pretty woman. It must be amazing for a young woman to realize that she can flirt and charm her way out of a ticket or into a good grade. If younger men are honest, they will admit that they are a sucker for a beautiful, pretty woman, that she is able to deceive anyone in a position of authority over her, including teachers, police officers, judges, and any other of the men you know. She has a secret weapon that she can use to manipulate those men, but if she uses it in a way that is too blatant, it will lose some of its power. The fact that it is an implied favor is part of the reason why it is so powerful. If you're good to me, I'll be nice to you. But if you're not nice to me, I won't be nice to you. Please grasp the nuance of this. There are things that I can do behind the scenes in terms of connections, alliances, and friendships that can affect you, and that fact isn't even expressed here. Consider the man's perspective on what he wants from the lady. Consider what it is that she is pretending to give him, and then consider what it is that she is threatening to take away from him. Also, I want you to keep something in mind. The more hungry and thirsty you are for anything, the more it will be kept from you as your hunger and thirst increase. When I say something, I'm referring to a woman's affection for you. The more gladly you are willing to sacrifice, the more compromises you will make in order to gain it, and the simpler it will be for you to get it. The less you value it, which means the very thing that you believe you desire and that you need from a masculine perspective will become less important to you. It is necessary for them to keep it from you in order to maintain their power over you. And the more desperate you are for it, the more power they have over you, or to put it another way, the more subtly they may exert their power over you. They are not obligated to make any promises to you because everything depends on the money. It's everything that you're going to take her out, spend money on her, protect her, and entertain her, and she could let you give her a kiss on the cheek if you understand this better. That if you can make the man feel unworthy, in other words, is in the best interest of the woman to pretend that any physical contact with a man is the most dreadful burden that life could impose upon her. This is because it is more likely to make the male feel unworthy. In other words, a man looked at me while I was walking down the street, and I felt so violated. A man either tried to talk to me in an elevator or he said something to me. I don't know when the oppression will end. I was in a room and there were males in that room as well. What could you possibly expect me to do? I mean, this is how intense that side of it is portrayed. Understand that it's a whole psychodrama that's being played out and realize that children do this sort of thing when they have fits. It's a type of emotional blackmail, but there are many levels to it, especially between the male and the female, that are so subtle. They threaten to have a tantrum if they don't get what they want. It's a form of emotional blackmail that are so passive that they are merely implied, that they are merely accepted as part of the background conversation, that we are influenced, that our behavior, that our thoughts, that our feelings are influenced, that we 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 are influenced. You are aware that in a crowd, a woman could slap a man across the face, and if the man replied by slapping the lady back, everyone in that crowd would leap on that man and exclaim, "How dare you to do something like that?" Actually, you really couldn't get away with it. They would even presume that the first slap that she gave to the man was appropriate. To put it another way, the question would be whether or not the original smack that she gave to the man was acceptable. The response to that will be, well, I wonder what he did to make her do that, and given the fact that he had that coming, how dare he respond back, will be the response to, well, I wonder what he did to make her do that. I am certain that many of you are listening to this and just smiling and saying things like, oh, well, that's a difficult, rare kind of circumstance. No, use it as a metaphor. I say this because I am certain that many of you are doing exactly that. Let's say you're at a business meeting and a new female employee suggests that you give away, 100 gift certificates to each prospective customer client, and there's, hundreds of them. And you're like, no, that's a really bad idea. And you're like, 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 Betty, the customer may like it, but it would put us out of business, at which point she starts to almost cry and accuses you of insulting and disparaging her ideas and not letting her be a part of the company. I really believe you need to think these things through a little bit more. The customer may like it, but it would put us out of business. Therefore, to put it another way, she engages in inappropriate behavior. The man confronts her about her inappropriate behavior. She plays the victim, and everyone in the room feels sorry for her. This is automatic, and she is aware of this fact. However, you are actually responding to the things that she says, as if you were aware that it is a logical discussion and that she has the ability to easily lure you into this trap. There are at least 3 or 4 subtle suggested passive on the income effects of female sexuality that do not require a single word to be stated about them. Because of this, gynocentrism is able to exert such an incredible amount of influence. There is a type of power that women have over men, and that power lies in the fact that men desire something from women, and that something involves their participation to a significant degree. This generates a wide set of options for exploitation and manipulation, the majority of which are concealed from you as a guy, and the most of which you are unaware of. Consider. The man has to win this competition from the woman. Consider the group's setting. Take into account the variables and dynamics I've already discussed, and think about how the attitudes and concepts associated with gynocentrism influence things. It's not even like, well, I think I've got a handle on these variables thanks to the other men in the room with you. Now that I know how to foresee the outcome of our interactions, I won't fall for these ridiculous traps, and we can have a safe and secure conversation. However, is acting on everyone else around you as well, and she can produce a consensus if she uses it effectively. Because of this, a woman is able to make a wedge between a group of guys. Because of this, she wants the attention the minute that she comes in. Because of this, she giggles and twirls her hair as she walks up. Because of this, she can drive a wedge between a group of men. Despite the fact that she possesses nothing of real value, her very presence exerts a powerful pull on everyone around her. A woman approaches a gathering of men in which you are participating, and the other guys in the group immediately begin conspiring against you. Consider the fact that exerting this kind of influence can be as subtle as saying something like, "You're not going to wear that, are you?" Or, "You know what day it is, don't you?" even in a female's tone of voice. This is because they are competing for the woman and you are completely unaware of it, but she's aware of it. Because of this, you should also take into consideration the fact that she is aware of it. She is using this influence, and the men, even if they are aware of it on the surface, are missing 75 to 80% of the influence that is really being exerted. They are missing who is really calling the shots, and they are missing whose emotions, concerns, and feelings are considered. She is using this influence, and the men are missing all of these things. They don't understand it, and it's even implied that it's not like, if you don't do what we say, we're going to punish you, but rather, if you don't do what we say, the group is going to reject you. They're missing who everyone is jumping through hoops to please, and because of this, they're missing the point. Because of the confrontation with the woman, all of the men in that public square are going to jump on you. The one woman walking up to the group is someone who all of the men are competing for, so they are all going to jump on you. Your mother will be very upset with you, and will be enforced peer-to-peer by the group, and won't betray you now, or at the very least, there's this element of it. So I just wanted you to be aware of, some of these factors before it's too late. Pardon the pun, but it's really like you think you're playing a game of poker, but the woman you're playing against has another deck of cards. This situation is really similar to that she keeps on her lap, and she has the ability to choose whatever card she wants to use as a match for any card she has in her hand, meaning that you will never win that game. That is how much of an advantage she has with the subtle hidden passive power of female sexuality, and how strongly it can influence the situation when you are not even aware that its influences and that its power is being used. It is also how much of an advantage she has with the fact that male sexuality does not have the same kind of power. As a male, I hope that this will help you see some of the ways that it is being done and comprehend how it is being done on a level that pertains to society and civilization. And here's hoping that you'll be able to better guard yourself against it, avoid falling into its traps, and find a way to get past it. You're aware of this since the primary objective of Big Tower is to ensure that men do not perish. It's not as if every video is going to be groundbreaking and revolutionary. Rather, they're just going to share some thoughts with you that might be helpful if you watch them. In order to prevent you from incurring financial losses as a result of the actions you are taking, it is important to remember that people and animals are not meant to be sacrificed, and that nothing is given away for free. You need to understand that this is a different message, and for the time being, I'm going to leave it at that.